Hello and welcome to Jazz Tales for Wednesday, August 5th. So glad you could be here with us. Excuse me here while I pull my cheat sheet around. Thanks for everybody for all your kind words from last week and for joining us again this week. This week I have not only a great bassist, but a gentleman that I can call a dear friend. I've known him for a long time, and I've got a few stories a few tales I'm going to tell as we get into this. But let me tell you a little bit about Tommy. He's played with some of the greatest of folks in DC and around the world, really. List goes from John Eaton to Buck Hill to Dick Morgan, Shirley Horn, Brooks Tegler, the Red Brothers. And as a freelance, he's been Mose Allison's bass player, Tommy Flanagan, Joe Henderson, and many other artists. He's had several records with some of the greats. And listen to this list. Tommy Flanagan, Billy Hart, Gary Bartz, Paul Ballenbach, just to name a few. And we're going to talk about his records. And he's got some really, really great things that he's done with different music that you don't normally think about as a jazz repertoire. And I'm so excited to have him here. Would you please welcome Tommy Cecil? Welcome, Tommy.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. It's a thrill to be here. The last time I had a gig was March 15th, so I'm a little nervous.
Nah, we'll be fine. We're going to get started here tonight with a tune by Benny Golson. This is called Out of the Past. Welcome, everyone.
Jesus.
Tommy Cecil, everyone. Tommy, yes, so good to have you here. Let's say hello to some people here. Hello, Janet and Lou up in Nutley, New Jersey. Mike and Rena up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Rena and Mike, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Cool.
Ed Ruffled, I met him last week. He says hello to Tommy from his friend and Northwest DC neighbor, Ed Rehfeld.
Renfeld. Renfeld?
No, it's Rehfeld.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a photographer.
Yes. Yeah, we found that out last week when he signed in.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I see him all over town. I see him all over town. Yeah.
Great
Guy.
Here
Real
I am,
supporter.
Yeah. Thank you for joining again this week, Ed. Appreciate it. Beautiful sound quality. Thank you, Rena. Will Ross. Thank you. We'll learn more about Will. Will's one of the students that was given a pass to be here with us by our many sponsors, which we'll find out about tonight.
Fantastic.
So, Will, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. We're going to continue on with a tune by Louis Bonnefoy. This is called Samba de Orfeo. Any history about this that you know that?
I think it's from that movie, The Black Orpheus.
It is. Yes, it is.
And there's a scene with little kids singing it, and it's so beautiful.
It is. It is.
It's a great movie. Larry Ennett introduced that movie to me.
Really?
He introduced a lot of stuff to me. That was one of them, and so I think this is it's very simple, and yet it's very deep.
A lot of fun. Yes. Yes. It is very deep. Yes. Yeah. Here we go with Louis Bonnefoy's Samba de Orfeo. just like we rehearsed it. Thank you, Rena. Glad you enjoyed that one. So next we have on the list a tune by Harry Warren. A lot of this stuff we just talked about right before we came on the air, and that's part of the reason why I forgot to flip the thing over. So, that's what we do here. We just go with the flow. Mm-hmm. So we're going to go with the flow. This is a Harry Warren tune called There Will Never Be Another You. Any story behind that one? Other than it's just a lot of fun, great standard to play.
I love this tune. Harry Warren is a great, great songwriter. There are a lot of his tunes that jazz musicians love to play, and this has got to be one of his top ones.
Top of the list, yeah. Yeah, I agree. Harry Warren's There Will Never Be Another You. Any place in particular?
Right on it? 1, 2.
A pleasure as always. Oh, let me go to the right screen
My
here.
pleasure.
Thank you. Boy, it's been such a long time. When I first came to town in the second time in 1989 with the Jazz Ambassadors, we played a lot, and there's some really great lessons that maybe later on in the show I'll remind you some things that you said to me that I've never forgotten.
Oh God!
And no, they were all good. They were all good. But this is the part where we talk about, and every time I ask this question, very first time, our mission at Jazz Alive is the continuation and preservation of America's indigenous art form. And one of the ways that we want to do that is putting this music in front of the younger generation as much as we possibly can. And we're actually, with just this show, we're starting to do this. As you'll see, when we get to the end, folks, I'm so happy with all of the donations that came in to donate to our young people just to watch this show. So I think that we're kind of getting there. Yeah.
Fantastic.
But so the question is, especially for the young people that are listening here, and just judging by the little bios I got of some of them, they remind me of when I was younger, and just what they've done so far with their careers. But maybe if they're on the fence, what was that one thing or several things as you were younger that made you go, I don't want to do anything other than music, and more importantly, jazz?
Oh God! I couldn't imagine doing anything else. First of all, and I think that's really kind of what it has to be, because there's so much about it that is, the money's not great. There's not security. There's a lot of things. It's a tough racket. I guess everything is a tough racket, but I don't know. I just think that if people who are successful at it are people who, that's the only option that they think of, and I think that's certainly true of me, because I kind of regard music as something that I don't know, I kind of inhabit. It takes me away from the rest of reality, and I don't look at it as a career. I look at it as something to escape to, because it's where I'm most comfortable. Psychically,
right?
So
interesting. Wow.
I don't know whether that answers the question. Or
Well,
not. I didn't come up in a jazz studies, obviously, but I mean, I didn't play in the school band or anything like that. I'm self-taught. As I've said to many friends, I feel like I've been reinventing the wheel for 45 years, and it's what it is.
Yeah. But we all reinvent the wheel. If we don't reinvent the wheel, to me, it's time to stop, because you're not moving forward.
Yeah. Well, some of us were told about the wheel at the beginning. I wasn't.
So is there a memorable moment that really kind of, or you just, it's kind of in your DNA, is like, I can't think of doing anything other than music? Was there a concert or something that you went to that really inspired you to say?
Growing up in the 60s, and I had two older brothers that sang and played guitars, like Simon and Garfunkel and folk music and that kind of stuff. And a buddy of theirs had a bass, and they used to play at the house, and he used to leave the bass there. That's how I started playing the bass. Where was I going with this? I think that you have to develop instincts for it. Oh, I know what I was going to say. One day I went to, do you remember Corvettes? Is that before your time? EJ Corvettes. It was a discount department store.
Yeah, no,
they had a record department, and I used to go buy records there. And one day I thought, I gotta look for something different. So I went to Corvette's and I picked out a record. I had no idea who this person was, what he did, or what any of these people did. And it was an Oscar Peterson record.
Ooh.
And it was live in Chicago, the London House or something. And they do Chicago and they do in the wee small hours of the morning.
Right.
And I brought that record home and I put it on my record player. And I was completely blown away. And I think that was the turning.
That would be, yeah. And what a
and Ray Brown,
right?
just, I didn't know. I didn't know that music could sound like that. And
that's a great record. I mean, it
That's a
really,
great record.
really is. Wow, what a way to get started.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we'll talk about some other things as we go along here, but let's go back to playing. And before we do that, we've got some folks here. Ed says, "I better disable my smoke detector. You guys are on fire." And Paul Langosh said, "Well, at least the hours are bad." Good one, Paul. Yeah. I had to think about it for a second. Thanks, Paul. So next on the list here is a tune that I suggested. This tune, those of you that have watched the afternoon or the happy hour show when I did, I've done it several times, but it's one of those tunes that came to me late, although it's on my favorite Bill Evans record, and I don't know why I never learned it until just recently. But this is just a gorgeous tune called "Some Time Ago."
sorry. Let me start that over again.
Blues for Philly Joe by Sonny Rollins. Great tune, Tommy. Nice choice.
Yeah, that's from a really a great album. Nuke's Time, Sonny Rollins, Wynton Kelly, PC, Philly Joe.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Well, next we're going to do a tune I'm unfamiliar with this one, and I heard a concert that Tommy had done where he played this, and I said, "Can we play this?" So, what's the story behind this tune, Tommy?
This is a tune written by a Cuban songwriter, Osvaldo Fares, I think is his name. He's written a handful of tunes. I only know this tune because of Larry Ennett. Again, he is a font of so much inspiration for me. He was an amazing guy. Did you know him?
I did, yes, briefly.
I had the good fortune of working a lot with him. I had a steady gig at the Four Seasons Hotel for 16 years. It was a brunch gig, and Larry was on it. I had Larry and Wally Garner, who was a clarinet player, and it was like going to school every week, because he threw so many tunes that I had no idea about, and this was one of them. This is one of the tunes, and just one gem after another I learned from him.
Wow.
And so this is one of the tunes. Larry was a big Nat Cole fan, and I'm going to guess he learned this through Nat Cole, because Nat Cole made a recording of it.
Okay.
The American title is called Without You. The Cuban title is called Tres Palabras, I think.
Oh,
3
okay.
words.
Right.
So there it is.
Very cool. Well, thanks for bringing this one to us. Thank you. Man, Tommy, that's a beautiful tune.
That's a great tune, isn't it?
That's a beautiful tune. Wow. So, speaking of beautiful tunes and things, this is the section that I wanted to talk to you about Stephen Sondheim. I'm going to turn the camera to me for a second. So, one of the things that I've always enjoyed, having known Tommy all these years, is that he searches and finds different tunes and different things and different ways of playing them. He has 2 records out with the great Bill Mays that are nothing but Stephen Sondheim tunes. And so one of the things I wanted to ask him is, what is the inspiration there? I mean, even if you're living the Broadway life, those tunes are difficult. I mean, there's just stuff there, and then to just put them into the jazz world. So, how did that happen? Or are you just crazy?
The crazy has nothing to do with it. In 2011, I had a gig at Blues Alley that I called Bill Mays for. And it was in the summer of 2011. And it was right after a vacation that Tracy and I took. We went overseas. We went to Switzerland. It was great. But I said to Bill, because I had worked with him once before, and he sent me reams of arrangements, and and he's a great arranger.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really very demanding, and he doesn't, it's a very high bar. And I said to him, listen, I want you to play this gig. I can't practice much before it because we're going to be away. And so, right after we got home from the vacation was when this gig happened. So I said, we can't do all of your arrangements. So he sent me a bunch of arrangements anyway. Simpler stuff, not so involved. One of them was his arrangement of Send in the Clowns. And Chuck Red was playing drums on it, and we had the sound check. We went over everything. It was great. We played the gig, and it was a great audience. It was a great evening. It was a night that was very, very special to me. And we played this arrangement of his of Send in the Clowns, and the effect that it had was exactly what you want to happen when you perform. It just brought the audience, it drew the audience in, and it was remarkable. And of course, no wonder it's Bill Mays playing.
Right.
He's
he's
a
amazing
phenomenal
player.
talent.
Yeah.
So we played, we finished the gig. I was in kind of an afterglow for the week following after that gig. And so I emailed him and I said, can we do a duo record, you and me? And he said, I've done a lot of duo records. I'm not up for it. So we went back and forth a little bit, and I mentioned the idea because of his arrangement
Sure.
for Send in the Clowns. I said, we could do an album of Stephen Sondheim tunes. So he said, I don't think so. And then he wrote me back the next day and he said, you know what? I've been thinking about it. Let's do it. So that was in August of 2011. We recorded in March of 2012. I started researching Stephen Sondheim because I didn't know anything about
Sure.
him. I knew that he wrote the lyrics for the score for Gypsy,
Mm-hmm.
and he wrote the lyrics for West Side Story,
Mhm.
but I didn't really know any of his own
Music,
shows.
yeah, right.
His own shows. And I thought, man, what have I gotten myself into? And I was really nervous. I went up to where Bill lives, and we recorded it at a studio up there. And it turned out great.
Yeah.
So
It did.
there it is.
There it is. Wow. You heard it here first, folks. There we go. And you got to go out and get the records. They really are beautiful records. So
Thank you.
Yes. So, as if things aren't crazy enough, I just so happened that Tommy last week said I didn't catch the show live, but he really enjoyed the show, and this message came through at like midnight, and I was busy typing because I had already started rehearsing or researching in my mind what I wanted to do with Tommy, and so I call him at midnight. I never do that for anybody, and he answered the phone. And I said, I'm thinking about this medley because I love the Sondheim stuff. Would you consider doing Not a Day Goes By and Loving You? And here it is. And trust me, Paul, I won't call you at midnight. Tommy's the last person I'm going to do that to. And Tracy, I know that you're watching, or at least I hope you are, because I saw that you had purchased a Stream Pass. Thank you so much. I promise I will never do that again. And I hope you won't hit me when you see me the next time. Thank you, Tommy.
Beautiful, man.
Thank you for indulging me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for asking.
All right, so next we have a tune that was written by Vincent Yeomans. Everyone's going to know this tune. Get up and dance. Enjoy yourself.
Verse. One, two. God, what am I thinking of?
Oh, no. I like that. Yeah. Well, nice conversation between you two, says Rena up in Lancaster. And thank you, Will. Thank you, Edward. Appreciate it. So this is the last segment here. And when I sent you the questions that I was going to ask you before, that was a month and a half ago, I basically wanted to talk about the fact that you are really one of the most in-demand players in the Washington, D.C. area. And there's not only a musical... Not
anymore.
None of us are, yeah, right. There's a musical, not only a musical discipline, but a business discipline that goes with all of this. And you said something in the very first segment that kind of says that, but for the young people that are listening here, the ones that, like I said, we'll find out about them in a minute. I think that some of them look like they're going to go on to be musicians, and that's thanks to their mentors, and their teachers are watching too. Donna and Jim, thank you. But what is it that keeps you in the game and keeps that phone continually ringing?
Just enthusiasm for it, trying to get better, trying to work on new things. That's really rich of me to say that, because I'm the laziest person you know. But still, I mean, in the big arc of things, I've always tried to aspire to something, whether it's a recording project or whatever, as a target. And with such things, it makes you better.
Sure.
And you get a more of a feeling for what it is that you're going for. Also, I think that the first 20 years that I was doing this, I was always, by a generation at least, the youngest kid on the bandstand, youngest one on the bandstand. I was always working with people older than me, and you learn from these guys because they have experiences, they have a certain point of view that I think, now that I'm an old guy, it's a valuable thing to know. And there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot that, when you think about constructing phrases or, trying to master whatever it is that you're dealing with, there's a lot to consider, and it's not just playing lots of, high, loud, and fast.
Sure, right, yeah.
There's a lot to it.
Well, I do have to say that, from my standpoint, is that, and I have been playing, I was that young guy when I first came to town and started playing with you, that every time I showed up on the gig, it didn't matter how noisy the place was, you played. I mean, that was one of the things that really, really got me about you, was that you gave it your all, no matter how. And I remember one of the first gigs that we played together was at this happy hour gig in Crystal City, and
Park 3.
Park 3, yeah. It was noisy as can be, but every time you came and you played, and I'm like, wow. I mean, there's that level of.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think you have to approach it that way, because if you don't, then the gig's going to last 3 times longer. So, but it's a double-edged sword, because, I bitch and moan with the best. Anybody will attest to that. I complain, oh, these people, so it's all of that.
Yeah, but I know that, I can always just get in that zone with you. I don't care how noisy it is that you make the person you're playing with
well,
want to
I think
play,
and And for you to respond to that that's half the battle. Because if I have someone that I'm working with, we're kindred spirits, then that makes it that much better. I mean, it's terrible when you go on a gig and who you're working with isn't really
There.
involved. You know, they're looking at their phone
Right.
constantly.
Yep.
That kind of thing.
Yep.
Put the phone away.
Be here 100%. Yes. Well, you know, here's one of those stories from the Part 3, actually. So I had already done this version, had been working on this version of Round Midnight as a salsa tune, you know, and so. But I wasn't going to spring that on you, but, you know, I said, can we play Round Midnight? And you looked at me and you said, you know, I don't think we should do that tune. And I'm like, you're like, I mean, I know you know the tune. And I was like taken aback by it. And you said because that tune can go in so many different directions. It's been
a
recorded
minefield.
in so many different directions. And if I don't know what you're going to do, it's just going to be a train wreck.
Right.
And just for the introduction I played for you, the light bulb went on at the minute you said that. And I'm like, yeah, because I would have gone in that direction. And how was he supposed to know that I was going to go in that direction? As much as I felt like we were really in the zone every time we played, that was a task that would have been, like you said, disastrous. And I learned
That
so
tune
much.
is a minefield.
Yeah. No, I learned so much from you saying that. It was, you know, and just in the way that you said it. It doesn't get any better than that. So Tommy, you're going to set this next tune up. This is a solo tune for you. And I heard you warming up on this tune or playing it a little bit. I can't wait to hear this.
Oh, God.
You want to introduce it, please?
This is a tune by Dori Caymmi. Is that how you say it? I'm not sure. Brazilian guy. I don't know when it was written. It's called O Cantador. It was North Americans know it as Like a Lover. I think Brazil 66 did it.
Yes, they did.
But this is not their version.
Beautiful, Tommy. Wow.
Thank you.
Wow, that was absolutely gorgeous. Well, we have some people to thank here. As I've been telling you, this has been every show. We're getting more and more folks that are donating a stream pass to our young people. So I'd like to thank some people right now. First of all, I'd like to thank Janet and Lou Russo up in Nutley, New Jersey, who sponsored Sophia Smith, a trumpet student from Washington, D.C., who's attending the Duke Ellington School for the Arts. Sophia, I remember you from when I used to come to Stuart Hobson and work with you. I hope you're doing well, and I can't wait to hear great things from you as you go on. Then we have the sponsor, the New Holland Band, and I can't thank the New Holland Band enough. They've been a major organizational sponsor, and we thank you so much, New Holland Band, for helping us out here and getting us going. Thank you. Jimmy Hardigan, a piano student in Central Pennsylvania, was here with us the very first time, and he loved it so much that he asked to come again. Jimmy, thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and keep coming back. Also, we had Hayden Soderman, a bass guitar student, Washington, D.C., attending Gonzaga High School, and Malachi Williams, a saxophone student from Washington, D.C., attending Duke Ellington School for the Arts. Thanks to my good friends up there in Easton, Pennsylvania, Laurie Winnick and Steve Aragona. They sponsored Han Burkholder, a rising ninth grade student from Washington, D.C., who plays French horn, trumpet, and piano, attending Duke Ellington School for the Arts. And then I'd like to thank a longtime friend of the family, a person who is really, truly one of, I'd say a mentor, because I remember as a kid watching him in his Marine Band uniform playing euphonium solos that just were absolutely gorgeous. Thank you, Sherry and John Zimmerman up there in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, for sponsoring 3 students this week. We have Matthew Craig, and this one should get you, John. Matthew Craig, a 9th grader at Easton Middle School in Easton, Maryland. He plays euphonium, bass guitar, sousaphone. This year he was first chair in the Junior All-Shore Band, and he's a member of the Mid-Shore Community Band. We have Mara Stoyanov, who attends Easton High School in Easton, Maryland. She plays flute. She's attended the flute camp at Westminster Conservatory. Harp, attending the Summer Solstice Harp Camp, and she sings in the Allegra Women's Choir. I told you, Tommy, there's some really, really youngsters that are doing it.
That's
and
great.
Will has continued to say things here in the chat. Will Ross attends Easton High School in Easton, Maryland. He plays trumpet in the concert marching band and jazz band. He's been in the Junior All-Shore Band, and he plays in the Midshore Community Band, and he plays piano and has accompanied Easton Middle School students for the Eastern Shore Band Directors Solo and Ensemble Festival. Wow, wow. Thank you, John and Sherry, and our friends up there in Montville, New Jersey. Netta and David Aragona, thank you so much for sponsoring Lydia Ferguson, a trombone student from Washington, D.C. She attends Duke Ellington School for the Arts. Folks, thank you so much for helping us get this music out to our young folks. It's just wonderful. Let's keep it going. Let's see how many how many we can keep going here. So thank you so much. Tommy, we're going to close out here. We got one more tune, and this tune, I asked to do it. This is from your newest record. Mm-hmm. So you want to tell us about the record and the tune, please?
It's the title of the record is called American Melodies. It's a swath of material that most of which I learned from either Tommy Flanagan or Larry Ennett. The stuff that I didn't, there's a couple of classical pieces on there that I redid for guitar and bass. The guitarist is Nate Najar, very fine guitarist from St. Petersburg, Florida. We've worked a lot over the years. He's a big devotee of Charlie Byrd, and that's certainly evident in his playing. And it's a record of, I forget how many cuts on it. It's a bunch of tunes on it, and a lot of people said, I don't know any of these tunes. But I
did. I love the record.
I didn't do it to stump people. I did it because I learned this stuff from my elders, and I don't have anybody to play it with anymore, so I decided to make this record.
That's great. And the tune we're doing is?
This is a Billy Joel tune called The Longest Time.
Tommy, it's been a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for saying yes. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me, and thanks for doing this. This is really a marvelous thing that you're doing, and I watched the preceding 3 shows, and every one of them is a gem, and I'm happy to be in the company of these other guys, and it's great that you're doing this for the young kids, and just for people to hear some good music.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Folks, we're going to take a week off next week, and expect an email sometime next week to know what the next 5 shows are going to do. We're going to take a week off, and then we're going to do 5 shows. So I think that's the way we're going to go with this, is for a minute, take a week off, give me time to regroup, and get the next group of guests in here. So look for an email, and if you're not signed up on our email list, please go to jazz-alive.org, sign up on the mailing list, and you'll know exactly what's happening. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Be safe, stay healthy.